Oh, there's a lot of stuff going on. And I was supposed to be making videos. I haven't been feeling good. So, felt kind of whoopsie. So, I just been laying down. I wanted to ask what racist means anymore. Because, yesterday, of course, Prince William stood up for his family and said that they're not a racist family. And I'm looking at Twitter and some of the responses to that, and the people who would refute that, their excuse was that well, he's never experienced racism, so he can't say that they're not racist. Yeah, I think you can. This is what I'm saying. This is why I'm like, what is the definition of racist anymore? Because again, I'm gonna start separating things by this century and last century, meaning everything from 2000 on is somehow completely chaotic and stupid and bizarre world and different than everything before in the 1900s, you know. Because to me it really changed. It started to change. I don't know what made it change, but now of course the world we live in is completely crazy to everybody since the past year and a half. But I'm just talking about this difference and how things are. Like I said, I'm 47, so the difference between things when I was growing up to now. And it seems like the changing tide happened somewhere in the 90s, and by the time we popped out in the 2000s, things got really different, and the generation gaps were very, very, very different. Now, what I'm saying is, in the last century, the definition of racist was very clear. A racist was somebody who hated other people based on race. Okay, so the idea is a racist would like their race and dislike, to the point of hate, people in some other race or all the other races. That was a racist. Now, a racist would do things because of the hatred they had inside themselves for these other people. So they may not hire these people. They may physically harm these people. They may attack these people. They may try to run them out of town. They may say, you know, I don't want your kind of people mixing with my kind. They may attack people of their own race for associating with those people. They may have burned crosses on these people's lawns. They may have tried to destroy their businesses. Okay? These are things racists did. Okay? That was a racist. You had hate in your heart and you took action. Okay? As I've said in the previous video, after that, you had people who might be considered prejudiced. And those people would prejudge people of other races based on maybe stereotypes or something else. So they may think, you know, a certain kind of people were lesser than them or whatever. But they didn't have hatred. And they didn't do actions to, you know, harm these other people. They may have been iffy on hiring people or wanting, you know, people in their family, you know, wanting a daughter or son or something to marry. But like I said, this was what we used to consider prejudice. You know, you didn't find those kind of people attractive or whatever, right? Then there's bigots and all these other things. But then there were normal people who maybe grew up in certain areas where they didn't know a lot of people and they just didn't know anything. So maybe they were ignorant of some things, or they really thought different people were different kinds. And, you know, people didn't mix because, you know, when people came to this country from different countries and different lands, they settled in certain areas and they stayed to their own kind for, you know, to feel safe, because those other people over there, they don't know them. They could be dangerous. They could hate them. They could beat them up, you know. So there were, in you know, the older people were, the more likely they were to have had that sort of thing. Like, say, Irish people, you know, or Italian people from Boston and stuff like that. If their grandparents came, you know, from the old country and they were leery of the people who came from a different country and they had separate neighborhoods and they didn't mix. You know, if you have a grandparent who lived that, That's not that many generations ago for things to have been a certain way. Doesn't mean anybody hated anybody. It was probably fear-based or, ignorance-based or something like that. So there were all these different levels of race-based ideas, but a racist was the worst freaking thing. They hated people. They would like to see other people dead. They would like to stop those people from just living their own happy lives. That's what a racist means, if you're of a certain age. Now, like I said, in the 2000s, I don't know what happened in the colleges. I don't know what books were being written, think pieces, things being taught in, the kind of classes that came after I left college. I don't know. But like I said, you started hearing the word racist thrown around for minor infractions. You started hearing the word racist thrown around for things that were just like on the lighter side of what we would have called prejudice. So if you're a younger person and you're calling somebody prejudiced, you're not calling them prejudiced. Somebody who might be prejudiced, you're calling them a racist. They're like, I'm not a racist. Because racist is the worst possible thing. That means you hate people based on race. Now, we've come to a point where there's all this crap about systemic racism and all this stuff, and I'm just like, oh my God. And like I said, they're looking for racists under every crevice and, behind every door and in the cupboard and, in an overzealous way of trying to fix everyone. There are these people in this world who have been taught that you must find every hidden racist and call them out and ruin them and ban them from society and make sure they never work in this town again or whatever. And that's so far from how things were a couple decades ago, where people may have had ideas, but people got along. And if somebody was prejudiced or racist, the number one thing you did was hang around with them, and you showed them that other races weren't bad, that we're all basically the same. You didn't attack and push and provoke and, if you thought somebody might be prejudiced, something like that. But now you're looking for one little thing to call somebody racist, which is the worst possible thing, and try to tell them that they have hate in their heart that they will act upon to harm and impede the progress and the lives of people who are different from them. When you say that to somebody, that's incredibly hurtful. When you call somebody a racist, you better mean it. You better mean that you think they're going to go get a cross and burn it on somebody's lawn. Because that's what a racist does. Okay? If somebody is just, they're curious, they grew up in a family, they ask a question, they don't really understand things, they're maybe older, they come from a time where people didn't mix that much, and they say the wrong thing by accident, and they just don't know, and you just immediately go to, you're a racist, you're this, you're that. You're calling them the worst of the worst, and you're gonna hurt their feelings. And everybody like, wait a minute, if they really don't know any people like that, and the first thing they do when they stick their toe in is to get attacked, you've now taught them something that they didn't think before about the whole racial thing, race debate. People who, you've told them, let me stick to my own kind. Let me back up. Let me not even get involved. Let me stay where it's safe. Let me not even befriend these people, because you can't talk to them. You can't associate with them, because all they're going to do is attack you immediately because you said the wrong thing you didn't even know you weren't supposed to say. So the reason this comes up with Prince William is, the other day, he said, my family's not racist. And he gets attacked. Of course you are. Of course your family's racist. And they bring up colonialism and all this stuff like that. I've said before about race and people who are so proud of their race or defending other races. Look, if you're 20 years old, in your 20s, That means you came to this earth since 1990. Nothing that happened before 1990 actually involves you. Let's say, I kind of believe reincarnation is a thing. Say you hate racists, you know, and you had a past life before 1990. Right now, whatever race you are, whatever gender you are, whatever thing you are, that thing you hate, you may have been that in your past life. This is why we're not supposed to judge people. You don't know who you were. So you're talking about your ancestors, you know, the people who did this and did that, and you're taking their history and you're wearing it as a badge of honor. Meanwhile, if your soul was alive at that time, you may have been the bad guy. You may have been the person you hate. So you taking credit or anything for any accomplishments people who are members of your group did before you were born, or people in your family did before you were born, or people of your race did before you were born, you could have been the person standing in their way. You know? You don't know. You don't know about anything that happened before you were alive. Prince William could have been from India or anywhere. He could have been a completely different person in his past life, and you're blaming him for the things that happened before it, because that's what you're doing when you're talking about colonialism. Now his family's not racist. You're having a whole nother debate about race and systemic racism and stuff like that, talking from an academic standpoint, and you're acting like everybody are people in a book or their statistics or whatever, and that's what's gone wrong in this world. It's statistics and what do you call it? Intersectionalism, all these things. You're the ones labeling people. You're the ones turning people into numbers. You're the ones doing the thinking for other people and telling them what's in their heart. You tell somebody they're a racist, you don't have the right to do that, because you don't know what they feel and what they think. I don't care who it is. You don't have the right to call somebody racist. And to flip it around and say somebody who hasn't experienced racism can't say if their family is racist, can't. That's the most ridiculous shit I've ever heard. You're the only one who knows what you feel. You're the only one who knows who you hate and don't hate, who you're prejudiced against, who you think things about, who you like and don't like, who you want in your family and don't. So you're totally changing the context, and you're changing what words mean, and you're changing how people can talk about things. If Prince William is saying that his family is not racist, he's saying, I know these people. They don't hate people based on race. That's what he's saying. He means it. He believes it. Okay? Unless you really think he's sitting there and lying, and they're sitting around all day going, let's get those people. You don't know. You don't know. To have evidence of history and what his family has done, because it was written down on paper, and say, no, you're lying, your family's racist. That's not the same thing. A racist holds hate in their heart. For those of us who are older, when you say racist, that's what you mean. You say they're going to not let anybody in their family marry somebody from a different race. You're saying they are going to stop. They will not hire somebody of a different race in their company. They will want those people away from them. When you say racist, you call somebody a racist, you're saying they're a hateful, nasty person. That's what you mean, go ahead and call them a racist. You might be wrong, you might be right, because we don't know what's going on in people's heart. But when you call somebody, let's say somebody who's older than 35, you call somebody who's older than 35 a racist, you're basically saying they're in the Klan. You're saying they were Nazis. You're saying they would kill people of a different race. You're saying they want there to be separate water fountains. That's what you're saying when you call somebody a racist. If you're saying that they don't know some things, or they didn't do all the things you think they do to have equity, or, you know, make sure every single room that they walk into looks like a Benetton ad, if that's what you think, that's people who don't fulfill all the requirements you have decided upon, that doesn't make them racist. Okay? Find another word. Say they're not living up to your standards, but remember, they're your standards. And if somebody in a college, somebody in school, I don't know, Ren and Stimpy, I don't know what the hell you people were watching that turned you into crazy people that are just looking for enemies every single minute of every single day, looking to take them down and make the world into this utopia that is probably going to be horrible if you get what you want, because you guys are the ones who won't let anybody live in peace. You guys are the ones who won't let people be free and be happy and have friends and just not care about this shit. So, racist, whatever it means now, when you're talking to somebody older and you say they're racist or their family's racist, you're saying one of the worst freaking things you can be saying about people, and you pushing them, and you're saying that it's not worth it. You're convincing them to go further away from the, melting pot that I swear the world used to be. Because you're telling them that the world of race is one full of scrutiny and you can't win, and no matter what you do, you're going to be called a racist anyway. So, whatever it means now, back in the old days, it meant something really freaking horrible. And if you really want to insult somebody and say that they hate people, they have hatred and they will do horrible things to people based on race, go ahead and call them a racist if that's what you really want to do. If you're just trying to say all these words that your college professor taught you, or you've only got the one word, you don't have a thesaurus, you can't look up something else, you can't try, a more nuanced stance on things, you got to see everything, hate to say it, in black and white, racist, not racist. And I don't know what's not racist to you guys, because it's starting to sound like everybody's racist, which is ridiculous. Everybody's not racist. Only people who think about race all day long have a race-based mentality, and then if they hate for some reason, or they assume others are hating them, then they're probably racist. Because all they think about is racist all day long. All they want to do is call that other person racist. All they want to do is put people into boxes based on race. It's ridiculous. We should be so past this now. There's so many more important things in life than this. And you're going to keep going back to dragging things back, to what, 70 years ago. Because you can't move on because you're being taught stuff from old textbooks, or people are, I don't know. People can't let go of an old fight and deal with today. They keep trying to just, it makes you feel important, it makes you feel powerful, it makes you feel like you got somebody. It's just disgusting, okay? Live and let live. Let people be free. Let people be themselves as individuals, and stop this race bullshit all the time. And try to find another word in your vocabulary besides racist. It's really sickening and it's insulting. If you mean to insult people, don't be surprised if they back away from you and they no longer speak to you, and they take that information and put it in their pocket for the future. For future reference, to say, you know what, I remember when I interacted with that person, it was unpleasant. Let me make a mental note of that. Then you're going to breed a bunch of freaking racists. Stop calling people racist. Okay?